This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Champions has claimed another.
Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Racecourse, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. Thoroughfan, giving the fan a voice. Find them at thoroughfan.com. And Woodbine Racetrack. Pick, bet, and cheer on world-class horse racing north of the border.
Good morning and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Racing Across America, live from the Saratoga backstretch. We are in the home stretch now of the Saratoga meet, the last 6 days of racing. And everybody kind of has the same opinion. One of the best weeks up here. Great weather, good racing. You got some comfort zone as far as the crowd. So if you haven't made it up yet, this is the week to do it. On the show, coming up a little bit later on, Maggie Wolfendale and Tom Morley. Tom, of course, put a grade 1 on his resume over the weekend with Have You Gone Away in the Ballerina. We'll talk about that and much more a little bit after that. Jim Bond will join us. He also had a stakes win within the past few days. Won the Bettor Talk Now with Our Way going back to Monday. So we'll talk to some stakes winners over the course of the show, and a guy who has won a number of races up here at Saratoga as well, but now has moved over to the Prince side. Clancy brothers join us on Wednesdays throughout the meet, and today, Sean Clancy. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning. Good to be here.
And again, you were a jump jockey. Did you ever pick up the Smithwick or the Turf Riders?
I won the Turf Riders.
Nice.
I won the Turf Riders once, and I never won the Smithwick. I don't think, back when I was riding, I'm not even sure they had the Smithwick really, but I was managed the Turf Riders once, thank God.
And of course, Saratoga Special, the paper you can find on track online as well throughout the meet, archived. Pull them up, winding things down. How's that feel?
It's good. I mean, this time of year is always tricky. It's like you kind of realize it's over, but you know you had fun, but it's also this like moment of like, wow. I mean, I always feel a year older.
Yeah,
like,
man, you're exactly
older,
right.
But we've had a good meet. It's been fun. I think it's. This place is this place. It's so it does it every year. It's like a bittersweet kind of feel when you know you're ready to leave because you just can't keep the grind and keep the pace going, but you're also a little bit sad that it's gone, and you're hoping you'll be back in a year's time, basically.
Yeah, I was. Had Brian Addo on earlier for the handicappers report, and we were laughing at the top of the show because I came out and said, hey, last week, yada, yada. Brian said, what do you mean? And sure, before the show, we were both kind of lamenting, man, we are toast. But you're exactly right. You get to the end of the week, and it's like, oh, I'm ready for it. But then Tuesday, you're thinking, oh, I can't go to the track.
Yeah, exactly. I know. When I get on the North Way, go home, like I go home on the Tuesday, and I'm just like, I get this crazy feeling of like, it's like this. It's so bittersweet. It's like you're proud of what you've accomplished, but then you think about all the things you didn't do or should have done, and you're not. I always say I have more. I mean, there's times at home I will have conversations with 3 people. My wife, my son, and myself, and that's it, like all day. And then here you get, it's just I think the conversations, the camaraderie, the morning when you're seeing people and talking and the stories, and I love sharing something. I mean, I think it's really fun to share something with people that you enjoy. So, I think these races, like the Songbird and those moments that it's just so cool to have a common interest with somebody that you share the same thing. I just think that's probably the most special part of being here. It doesn't matter if you're a bettor or a horseman or a trainer or an owner or a fan or a true. It's like this common bond of whether it's the horse on Monday and the Bettor Talk Now. It's always something that you can just kind of have a moment to share, which that to me is the most special part.
Yeah, and that's what's great about Saratoga overall because it extends beyond the racetrack. You're downtown eating dinner. You can have those kind of conversations.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And that's what makes it a lot of fun. We're probably looking forward to get home. Did the fam come up and visit? Miles,
for a few days. Yeah, my son Miles came up for a few days.
How old is he now?
He'll be 8 in December, and he came up for the sales, and as a really, I don't know if it's a bad parenting or just racetrack parenting, but we went to the sales, and it was about 10, 11 o'clock at night, and we look over, and Miles has his head on the table, and he's sleeping. I looked at my wife, Amy, I said, I don't know, is this good or bad? He's just flat out on the table at the sales, but he couldn't get up in the morning. He kept wanting to get on the golf cart ride, and I'm like, man, you got to get out of bed before 10, Miles. He's like, oh, Dad. But yeah, he had fun.
Very good. And let's talk a little bit about also the paper kind of wrapping up. Obviously, Traverse Day is a big day for you guys to cover all the stakes races. And I'm assuming it's maybe more work because I'm thinking some of the interns are probably already headed back to school.
Yeah, well, a lot of them, it was actually interesting, 2 of them, Anise, who we call Fargo, and the other girl, Shayna Tiller, they actually both had school last week, and they somehow, I love their ingenuity, they've somehow talked their professors into letting them come late. So they worked the last week, and we did the Travers issues, we finished it Saturday night, and they started going home. I think Fargo actually got in the car Saturday night to drive back to North Dakota, and how about that? And the other girl, Shayna, she went back to school Sunday morning. So yeah, you see that's this is passage of time. You see the interns go back to school, but it's they had fun, and that weekend's tough because it's the amount of stakes. I mean, we covered, you're recapping 7 stakes for the Sunday paper, which is. You can't get started until, you're starting them at 5 o'clock, so everybody's hammering away on them, and it was fun. It was cool. Yeah, it was a great day racing.
Talk a little bit about some of your highlights of the meet. Obviously, this weekend, the performance by area. Talk about the performance by area. You've been coming here a long time.
It was really good. I mean, I said it to somebody. I said, it was funny to see a horse. I think we kind of knew, looking back on it, it's 20/20 hindsight, but you're looking back on it, we kind of knew how good the horses were. You kind of knew how good Destin or Exaggerate or any of those horses, Governor Malibu, those type of horses. The only horse you didn't know, that maybe had a lot more in him was Arrogant, and he proved that. It was to beat that track record, to do it the way he did, beautiful horse. Really interesting to see Bob Baffert not have a horse that didn't start until April, which is very unlike him. And then to do what he did, it was, I talked to Mike Smith after the race. I mean, even Mike Smith, who's been on, some of the all-time greats, he was kind of at a loss for words over the performance. Rafael Bejarano, felt bad for him. He's kind of forced on the other horse, which for him, he was really, I walked back to the jocks room with him. He just, had this look on his face like, he just couldn't believe what he just watched. Or he could believe it because he pretty confident about the other horse and not his, But, as always, great stories, great race. For the year, for the season, I thought Songbird was probably, if I had to pick one, I guess Songbird is probably the one to see her perform like that twice in very different circumstances. I just thought that was great. They brought her here, and she did what she did. That, to me, was special watching her. You can look back, she's 10 for 10 now. It's just an incredible filly, and it'll be fun to see her go on. And, as always, is the performances on the racetrack are just the best here. And as a racing fan, it's, this is what we crave, to watch these, those kind of performances day in, day out. Just
Flintshire too. Flintshire, two great performances.
Yeah, he was great. He's such an electric horse to watch. His kick. I thought I was in the first race. You could kind of just celebrate a great performance. The second race, I thought the tactics were took a little bit away from it. I just felt like the way they kind of got out of his way. Out of all the horses that I've ever seen not need a break, it was Flintshire, and I thought that took away from it a little bit. The horse was devastating, great horse, but I didn't like the tactics.
And that's kind of a consensus on that. For folks who aren't familiar, essentially they put, and these days uncoupled, Rabbit in the race, who was leading around the far turn, and Flintshire was behind, and he kind of opened things up at the top of the stretch, which then it made trouble for some other horses. Now the stewards looked at it and wound up not doing anything, but I think the consensus is kind of that horse really didn't need that help.
Yeah, I mean, look, the rabbit's fine. You can put a rabbit in, but the rabbit can't run interference for other horses, and that's kind of what it did. It's like I wrote about it this morning. I was watching the race. It was like Flincher was the ambulance with the siren on, and everybody getting out of his way, like, we got to move over, and then they, rack up other lanes, and that was disappointing. I mean, I just thought it took a little bit of the luster of that horse, special horse, and instead of celebrating the horse, it was a little tainted. I thought that was kind of sad, but great horse. It was fun to see him here. I'm glad he's here. I mean, it's cool to see a horse like that at this stage of his career to do what he's done. It was another great element. I mean, the Saturday AP Indian I thought was brilliant. Cavorting was great.
Yeah.
Seeing Lady Eli come back from the laminitis that she suffered, just to see her come back. I know she got beat, but there was no disgrace for her. I mean, for her to come back to show the tenacity and the ability to come back from such a devastating illness, to come back and run like that, I thought that was special. The jocks are watching Irad and Jose go back and forth. I think that's brilliant. The greatness of John Velasquez every day, watching him put horses in position, you're just like, I always say, it's like he parallel parks in a race. Like every day, you just watch him, he goes, shoot, boom, and you're like, man, how did he get fourth? This is amazing. He's sitting fourth from the 12. I think that's been fun. Look, it's Saratoga. I mean, there's just so many highlights. It's, for what we do, it's just, there's words escape you as far as the enormity and the greatness that we see over there every day. It's just what we all live for.
And I want to tip my cap to you because you do the nice cup of coffee column. Is that every issue?
Every day, yeah. I haven't missed one yet, touch wood.
Kind of back in the newspaper, but again, you can pull up archives. They're always very nice. But how do you come up with the ideas?
Sometimes they're tricky. I always laugh. I'm like, some days I'm writing it, and I'm like, God, if I just would have thought about writing this earlier in the day, I would have actually reported, and I would have had a little more to write. I don't know. They're fun. It's just kind of, a lot of it's just the mood you're in or the situation you're in, and sometimes they're easy. I mean, a lot of times they just kind of flow out, and then other times it's a real struggle. You just sit there with when I start checking the word count, I know the story's not going to be very good. When I'm like looking, I'm like, oh God, 232 words. It's got to be 800, 850. So like when if the good ones, I never check the word count. Again, I'm like, oh my God, that was like 900 or whatever, And there's other times I'll literally write 200 words and think, man, I'm really rocking here. This is and I look, I'm like, 218 words. Oh God, I need 600 more, So that's when I know I'm shaking.
Pad.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, let's get into some of the steeplechase racing, going back a little bit and then going forward as well. First up, we're going to look at the stretch run to the highlight of the meet for the steeplechasers, the Grade 1 New York Turf Riders last Thursday. And I thought the potential was there. The Portrait could go out and maybe take them all the way around. I didn't play the race as well as I should have, unfortunately, given the 12-1 price. But Portrait's the number 5 horse here and does take them all the way around. Now, this is the highs and the lows of the sport, because unfortunately, for the very same connections of the winner, they also had Bob LeBeau, who was pulled up first time around on the backstretch and wound up having to be euthanized. So again, kind of the highs and the lows. Nice performance, though, by Portrait.
Yeah, this was tough. I mean, for Elizabeth Voss and the Merckx family that owns Portrait and Bob LeBeau, I mean, Bob LeBeau's a lovely horse. He's 9 years old. He's won Grade 1s and just broke down on the flat. It had nothing to do with the jump, and hurt his hind leg. And no, it's just the highs and lows of the game. This game, you can do all the things and try to make it, but it's still just they're so the fragility of the animal is just right there in front of you. Sad day, great performance by Portrait. Gus Dahl gave him a great ride, and I said to Gus, I think you actually won the race when, in the ride was in the A.P. Smithwick, and the horse, he made a mistake going down the backside of the second last fence, and he didn't overreact and got the horse's confidence back. It rode him brilliantly, and I think that carried over to the Turf Riders to give the horse confidence to come back and run that race. But yeah, I mean, it's just the absolute, the highs and lows in one race and the same trainer, owners. just it was tough.
Yeah, it was
tough to
tough.
watch.
Should also mention, because we talked about him a few times, is Colin Hankin, wasn't that his
Connor
Hankin?
Hankin,
His last before heading off to the Marines. So
yeah, exactly.
Harris Island
cool.
out for him.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's a great young kid, but just doing an unbelievable. His second leading ride over jumps, and graduated college and just decided he wanted to go into the Marines, and went to. He left last week after riding the Turf Riders. We were all kind of rooting for him and maybe get the Turf Riders on Scorpion Answer, and couldn't quite get it done. But lovely kid, and as Jack Fisher said, we should all be thankful that a kid like Connor Hankin would join the Marines and represent our country, and just a lovely, lovely kid.
Yeah, that was a good story. All right, now let's look forward. A couple of steeplechases to round out the season here at Saratoga. Today in the opener, $70,000 starter handicap, 2 1/16 miles over the jumps. And I went back and pulled up the race on August 3rd. We're going to watch them come down the stretch here. Dr. Skip will win, but just by that much over number 3, Top Striker. Top Striker at 9-2 runs a close-up second, well clear of the third place horse. And that, to me, attracted my attention. But then you have Rudyard K and Overwhelming, who are getting some class moves here that I absolutely think you have to pay attention to. But what are your thoughts on the opener today?
It's an interesting race. I mean, I like Top Striker. He ran very well here. He's been up here all month. I like that he's had a month since that race. I mean, sometimes our jumpers, you'll see they'll come back on short rest with, a week or 2 weeks. I like that he's had 4 weeks. He just missed this. I mean, he ran very well. Special Skills comes back and tries him again. He got beat a long way that day. He was beaten 8 lengths. A little bit of a weight switch. It shifts a little bit. Top Striker carries 156. Gives 8 pounds to Special Skills, where it was a little bit. I think gave him 6 pounds last week. But Top Striker's good. I think he's hard to go against. Not really any value. Special Skills is live. Patty Young gets on him. He's very good. And I'd throw Roger K in there, horse of Todd Wyatt's, just as a if you're trying to get some value. He's 8-1 on the morning line. He's had some terrible trips lately, a lot of bad luck. So I think he's got a little chance. He's got some back class. If you're trying to use somebody else in there. I'm going against Balance of the Budget is probably the other horse you would use coming out of the Smithwick. But if you look at his form, his best racer when he's really fresh. So I just think maybe he's not so good coming back in a month. Just because if you look off a layoff, he's really good. He ran pretty well in the Smithwick, lost some ground late, kind of drifted out. But he'll be speed, and you just got to hope the other 1 or 2 run him down.
All right, let's look at tomorrow's opener. Again, this will wrap up the jump season up here at Saratoga. And, we talk about the stories at the meet, and we talked a little bit on the handicappers report earlier. One of the stories, waiting for Jonathan Shepard to keep the streak alive. I put Castle Hill on top. I probably should have pulled up that race from last week to show, because at the top of the stretch, I thought it was Castle Hill's race. And then he kind of veers out a little bit and winds up 4th. Quick turnaround for the Shepard trainee. But instead, I pulled up the race from July 12th at Parks. We're going to watch Osmaz get it done here. Osmaz will be the number 3 horse. Wins pretty easily. It's 17-1. This is a horse that started the career out in Southern California for Dick Mandela. A couple of starts over the jumps so far, including this one. I put Castle Hill on top. I put Osmaz right underneath. I don't know whether that 15-1 will hold up on Osmaz off of this effort, but what are your thoughts tomorrow? And I think Shepard is live in here.
Shepard comes back in a week, which is not probably ideal. That was for Castle Hill. He ran very well up here last week. I thought he just did a little too much. He got running early, kind of opened up, and got caught late. I think if they hold on to him a little more. He's live for sure. He's still a maiden. I mean, he's going in allowance race. He's still a maiden, but he does get a lot of weight because of that, and he's only 4. And he's live for sure. Osmaz was pretty impressive, I thought, that day. Love his pedigree by Birdstone, having affirmed a mare. And Cyril Murphy's, he's had a really good spring. A little quiet up here. Hadn't run very many horses. I think he's got a shot. And I'd use Cash Crop maybe as an outsider, Arch Kingsley. He went up to Suffolk, got a prep up there, and that horse might run pretty well. He's relatively fresh, might be a decent price. I'd throw him in for as a price, but I'd probably go Castle Hill and Cash Crop as a long shot. Hard Rock 11 ran pretty well up here the other day. He ran August 17th, comes back in 2 weeks. He's okay. It's pretty wide open, really. It's a tricky race. I wouldn't go. I'm not going to bet Miles' college education fund on it, put it that way. So I have a strong opinion.
Fun way to wrap up the jump season up here, though. And so that will be the completion of steeplechase racing here. But the season goes on. And you used to have the Steeplechase magazine, but now you roll it into the website as well. How's where does the steeplechase season continue?
So we go in the fall. We actually, there's one day at Belmont. They do the Lonesome Glory and the Intimate Novice Stake. That's September 24th, maybe something like that. But then they go to Shawan Downs in Maryland, and then just start working our way, kind of work your way south. Far Hills is the biggest day in New Jersey. That's a great day out. If you can get out to that day, it's great purses, awesome course, really fun place. That's in maybe third Saturday in October. That's our biggest day. Grand Nationals, $350,000. And great day racing. So and then it finishes up. Colonial Cup's always the traditional closer. That's in mid-November in Camden, South Carolina.
Sean, remind them of the website.
This is horseracing.com. So you can get all the Saratoga special articles on there. The Faisy Tipton Stable Tour, all the, and then you can also just download the paper every day. And then we write, the rest of the year. Not like this, but we're on there writing something.
Yeah, it's great to keep up with the website all year long. Sean, as always, we appreciate you and Joe stopping by on Wednesdays throughout the meet to talk steeplechase racing and more. And again, you can pick up the last few copies of the special on track sites around town, or go to thisishorseracing.com to get it online. Thanks again for the visit.
My pleasure. Enjoyed it.
Sean and Joe Clancy, the Saratoga special, their whole team doing a great job throughout the Saratoga meet. All right, we'll take a break. Tom Morley, Maggie Wolfendale will join us. We'll talk some stakes action, some television, NYRA television, and more. All of that right after this.
In a recent study of some of the top online wagering sites, Capital OTB won big in total player rewards, far surpassing some of the best-known wagering sites in America. While other rewards programs simply offer you points redeemable for gift cards, Capital OTB's rebates are paid to you in actual cash. Plus, Capital OTB gives you full and immediate access to your money. So if all you're getting now are points and gift cards, join Capital OTB Player Rewards today and get cash back. Visit CapitalOTBBet.com and sign up today.
It's where dreams are born and champions are tested. Saratoga.
And the excitement of Saratoga is now at your fingertips at CapitalOTBBet.com. Wager any place, anytime on all your digital devices. Watch live racing, get past performances, bet online on our state-of-the-art wagering platform. Now for Saratoga, it's Bet 100, Bet 100. Open a new Capital Bets account, bet $100, and get $100 cash back. And don't forget to download our new mobile app, CapitalOTBBet.com.
Can you hear it? It's the sound of excitement. Something we infuse into every grape that goes into our exceptional full-bodied wine. That was closer than I thought it would be. Now, if you'll excuse me. 14 hands, where great times are made.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, we are joined now by trainer Tom Morley and Mrs. Tom Morley, Maggie Wolfendale. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Seth.
And first up, I had to dig down the Twitter feed a little bit. But of course, people who have seen Maggie in the winner's circle, obviously pregnant, and it's right around the corner. But people found out about it, as I say. I had to dig down the Twitter feed a little bit. The guys can pull it up. The announcement was kind of unique on Twitter.
Oh, with our dog George? Yes, of course. Well, he is the firstborn, firstborner, I should say, our first adopted child. And he's such a big part of the family. And he does love being an only child. So I'm hoping that his two-legged sibling he will love just as much as us.
I'm sure he will. But yeah, it was kind of funny. And it was like a week before that. did Andy Serling let the cat out of the bag? Because somebody said to me, hey, is Maggie, this was like a week before that showed up, somebody said, is Maggie pregnant? I said, and somebody said, well, Andy was on with her and said his mother was knitting or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, he let it slip. But, like, I tried to play it off because I was hosting him. And I was just like, okay. And Larry Cohn was coming up next to the scratches. So, and he got off. He was like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. So I was like, it's okay. You're going to find out soon anyway. So.
I said, well, I'm hitting something. That does seem strange. But, all right, let's get into what has been a great meet, Tom, for you, obviously. And I'll ask if you did it, because obviously when I have trainers on, I pull up stats from Equibase and whatnot.
Oh,
and
this is every night, by the way.
Top of the Equibase page. You got to love this. Since the Saratoga meet, Tom Morley, right there, multiple graded stakes winning trainer. You gotta love that.
Yeah, it feels good, I have to say. And for a couple of years, I've been pulling up my Equibase page, and it kept saying stakes place trainer. And so to get two things knocked out of the way in the space of one Saratoga meet to be phenomenal, and it really has. It's been an amazing meet for us. So.
And talk a little bit about the beginning of your career. We've had you on before, and you've talked about Flying Star. The Flying Star people called up. Are they going to put you on the cover of the brochure next year?
No, I did get some very sweet emails from them, though, and they're very proud of the fact that I am the second graduate to win a Grade 1. Francis Graffard has won a Grade 1 before me in France, and now we've managed to win one here. So, it's a program that's still in its, not relative infancy, but to be producing Grade 1 winning trainers, it makes them happy as well.
Yeah, I'm sure. And talk a little bit about the Flying Star program.
It's an amazing opportunity, It's 2 years around the globe. You get to travel in Europe, you go to America, Australia, Dubai, and then you go back to Europe. And it covers everything. It covers everything from business management to being a trainer, running a stud farm, almost being a jocks agent to how to run a racing jurisdiction. So, and you learn from the best in each industry, in each country as well. So, and I've always maintained this. I say it's 10 years of experience in two. And for that, everyone who graduates the course owes Sheikh Mohammed an enormous amount for giving us that opportunity.
Yeah, it's a great program, and there have been some prominent graduates already. But you added your name to the list, and let's go back to last Saturday and watch the Ballerina Grade 1 event on the Travers undercard. It's going to be the number 10, Have You Gone Away? Getting it done for trainer Tom Morley, John Velasquez on board, the 10-to-1 price. I appreciate it because I used the horse on top. So, and I actually told some people standing around me. So
he did. You came to the winner's center. You're like, I had her.
Minutes. Yeah, so it was a really nice performance. Following up a graded stakes win earlier in the meet by this same horse. Talk a little bit about the performance on Saturday.
Yeah, it was an extremely good performance. I think actually the fact that this race is 7 furlongs is absolutely perfect for her. She won the honourable miss at 3/4, but she's won stakes going a mile as well. And so I said to Johnny, I said, look, there's no real signed on speed in this race. I said, but you've got loads of tactical speed, and there's no need for you to be 5, 6, 7 lengths away if you don't think they're going fast enough. And he gave her a great ride. He put her in a perfect position, sat 2, 3 lengths behind them on the outside. And honestly, if I could have picked my post position, I would have picked 10 of 10, because with a filly like that who can just sit outside speed and just pick the spot, they're going rattling fast in front, and you can take her back a little bit. But she's got a ton of gears, and it was we won the Ballerina. As I said afterwards to Caton, I was like, it's the Ballerina. It's not just any old Grade 1. It's a very, very special race, and it meant the world to win it.
Talk a little bit about how she came out and what's up next.
She came out of it the first time I've ever seen her tired out of a race.
Understandable.
Which is perfectly understandable. And she has run 3 times in 7.5 weeks. She's won 3 stakes, Belmont 2 at Saratoga. That was a win and you're in, and obviously the plan is the Breeders' Cup. There is the Gallant Bloom at Belmont at the beginning of October, but honestly, I'm leaning towards training up to the Breeders' Cup. She's a 5-year-old with a hell of a foundation in it, and I'd like to take a fresh horse to California, so we'll probably skip that and go straight to the Breeders' Cup.
How do you make that decision, whether to go in the Gallant Bloom or not?
She'll tell me. She will tell me. I don't think I need prep race to get her ready for the Breeders' Cup. She's a very clean-winded filly who I could train into the race very easily. I'd probably look at a 3-breeze schedule, probably work at Belmont over a track that she actually is, that's the best I've seen her move over the main track at Belmont. So I'll probably work her there 10 days before the race. That seems to be a spacing that fits her as well. I don't think she likes breezing too close to a race, and I think she prefers just a little bit more time to get, because she loves to work. And so 10 days out from the race, check check she's okay, put her on a plane and fly to California.
She puts a lot into it. And two, I was, thinking about it. We trained her to Honorable Miss down at Belmont.
Yeah.
And she's actually never even really trained on this main track
she's
here.
only ever set foot on the main track here to run, and that's it. She jogged
really
one day on it, and that was it.
Yeah.
And clearly a horse for a course.
Yeah.
That's it.
Speaking of working the horses in the morning, the last time you were here, you were working horses out in the morning. I'm assuming not...
He fired me pretty early on. I was 2 months pregnant, and he stopped me, and I was like, really? I had a good month and a half left in me. I was fine. I still ride my off-the-track thoroughbred on the farm, so it keeps me mentally sane as far as the horse interaction goes.
And I think we pulled up a picture, speaking of working with Tom. You had to work with him in a professional capacity after the stakes wins. I think we have a shot of you interviewing. Talk a little bit about what it's like. Just emotionally, you're tied into a big win like that, too. What's it like to then step back and be professional and get the interview done?
It was really tough for this ballerina. It was really tough. It meant a lot. I was crying, and luckily, doing the Fox shows and the MSG Plus shows, the people I work with were very allowing for me to kind of experience that and then step back into my role and interview Tom. So there was a lot of emotion going through, and I got to give him credit. I mean, he holds it together very well and is very articulate, and displaying those emotions and answering questions. So
I think I find it easier than she does, to be honest, after the two up here.
Yeah, being in this situation, I can see where, getting tied up into that would then have to step back would be kind of a chore, but I'm sure you did it very, very well. And hopefully there are many more opportunities to do it also. I also wanted to pull up, we have a picture here. I don't know if you're framing this. I love the headline as well. Saratoga Special, Gone Girl.
Yeah,
that.
We have that one. I love that one for her. She is a special mare. Just really cool. I mean, she's just the ultimate professional.
Yeah, she is. She's a joy to be around. You couldn't ask for a filly I wouldn't say she's easy to train, but she just does everything you ask her to do, and that just makes my life a lot easier.
Yeah, so Breeders' Cup potentially next. Let's also, now that we're talking about television, talk a little bit about, because we've had some folks in talking about the MSG Fox Sports show. Obviously, things are geared towards Saratoga. We're geared towards Saratoga. I got to catch a lot of the Belmont broadcasts, which were very good. Up here, I haven't seen so many. And Tony Elevato in here, though, a couple of days ago, Monday, I guess it was. And I said to him, I have caught some late nights I've gotten home. They replayed it about 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah. And I've seen maybe 3 or 4 of them that way. The broadcast, as I say, at Belmont was great. You've upgraded a little at Saratoga. How do you feel it's been going?
Oh, fantastic. I mean, to be able to put on a show 6 days a week, day in and day out, for such a special and competitive and deep racing card each and every day, it's really kind of exposing the sport once again, as it should be, on a national level. And yes, it's a lot of hard work for us, but we enjoy every minute of it. And just seeing, great performances. I mean, not only obviously was it ballerina, we didn't get to cover the Travers, but even then, we replayed and relived the Arrogate Travers, and it was just a special thing that we can do, and hopefully it continues the way it has been.
Yeah, I said when I had Tony in here, it's a great vehicle to kind of spread evangelize a little about horse racing, because it's on a sports network and maybe is reaching out to people who aren't quite plugged into horse racing, because it gives us a chance for 2 or 2.5 hours to kind of show, and what a better place to do it than Saratoga.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's a show that, yes, it appeals to, the avid race fan, the avid bettor, but also I think we do play it well enough that, somebody coming in new to the sport can understand and enjoy it.
And that's part of the game plan, I'm assuming.
Yeah, oh, totally.
And I'm lucky enough that I probably might have 1 or 2 or 3 runners a day, so I get to interact with the fans way more than you guys do, who are working all afternoon, and the feedback's been absolutely phenomenal about this show and how much they've enjoyed it. So I think from a fan's perspective, I like it, and it's obviously going down very well.
Yeah, and I said to Tony, Phil Mushnick, the TV sports columnist for the New York Post, who was critical of everything, wrote like 3 great paragraphs.
Well, I mean, twice, too, on 2 occasions, so it was very flattering. Yeah.
Also, again, I was kind of cycling through your Twitter feed to find the dog picture, but as I cycled down, and I wanted to give you guys a chance, because it was really worthwhile. It was a picture from the night that you guys took out here in the barn area, the night of the cancellation, where power was out, and you had a nice caption to it thanking all the people who go up. But I thought this would be a good opportunity because, again, there are the unsung people here at the racetrack who show up early, show up late like this when there's a little bit of a situation. And so just take a moment to thank the people and that don't normally get the.
It's very easy for us to sit up here in front of the camera, but at the end of the day, this is a huge team effort that goes into this. From my grooms and my hot walkers, my foreman, my assistants, we're a 2-division operation. I can't do it without them. And then when they have to do it when there's no power, it makes it even more difficult. We all get up jolly early in the morning, and they're the unsung heroes, and they deserve every bit of credit that they get. None of us could produce horses to run in big races without them, and so it was well worth sticking up there. I mean, I drove onto the Oklahoma track. There was no power, and I was thinking, God, I wonder what's going on at the barn. And I arrived there. My assistant's car's at one end, my foreman's is at the other, and they're working away by car light.
Yeah, and you, of course, come from a horse racing family, so you've been exposed to the people on the backstretch your entire life.
Oh, I grew up in Barn 18 at Laurel Park, so it's just, and my dad is just the most hands-on. He's definitely more of a horse person than a people person, I would say, so I grew up in just being immersed in that culture, in the backside, and grew up and have really all those people to thank and teaching me and kind of fostering my bringing up, so they're very important, and they're the ones who care for the horses each and every day.
Yeah, it's always good to give them a shout out because, again, the kind of the backbone of the industry, certainly. Tom, I've asked all the trainers who have stopped by here this meet. I'll ask you as well. Are you a numbers guy? Do you use the sheets as a tool in your handicapping?
I definitely do. Yeah, I think the sheets are a fantastic tool. I actually use them an awful lot for claiming as well. It's very difficult to say or dubious about buyers, but I see numbers that I think are so completely wrong that I can't use them as an accurate guide myself. I know a lot of people do. And so I do go to the sheets. I think they're a fantastic tool as well. So yeah, I am a numbers guy, but I'm also not afraid to run where the numbers look like they don't fit. I mean, I'm running a horse this afternoon who maybe doesn't quite fit on numbers, but at the same time, I'm a trainer, I'm a horseman, and I've had a plan for this horse for a while, and that's why I'm going with him.
Which numbers do you use?
Well, I use the rags and sheets, yeah.
Yeah, that seems to be the consensus of those who are using them. It's been interesting to hear the various opinions. And speaking of this afternoon, you're speaking of Ardmore Bay?
Yeah.
Let's talk about him. Yeah. With anticipation this afternoon, I pulled up the Tyrrell from Monmouth back on August 7th, the stretch run there. We will watch Ardmore Bay get it done 2 for 2 after this. Again, buyer figures may be a little light coming in, but 2 for 2 and already has some stakes experience. Talk about him this afternoon.
Yeah, so he's I got to give my assistant Sarah O'Brien a good bit of credit here. She bought him out of a barn in Ocala this winter, and he kind of travelled with our horses around, and I watched him work here in the summer and was very taken with the breeze. And so I tried to buy him off her, and she wouldn't sell him to me. She said my offer wasn't big enough. So I had to ring one of my owners and say, listen, we need this horse in the barn. And Stuart Grant very kindly stepped up and bought him. I shipped him down to Belmont. He'd been training up here, and we took him back south. Broke his maiden extremely impressively in a way that it's part of the reason why I wanted to have another run was, he broke a step slow. A lot of my horses do that, and Johnny said he just moved his hands and the horse exploded underneath him. And he wired the field, and to me, going from a 6 furlong maiden special weight at Belmont that long ago, where he never saw another horse, to coming here to run in a race like that with anticipation, he had to get a little bit more experience under his belt. And we had the 5.5 furlong stake here for 2-year-olds. And I just thought that might be a little bit deep company for him sprinting, because I do think he's a horse who wants to go a bit further. So we picked the Tyro out and we went down to Monmouth, and in a way I didn't think he'd probably win down there because it can be such a speed-favouring grass track. I thought that there'd be some horses in there that probably were a good bit faster than him, and he might struggle to get to 1 or 2 of them. And I was hoping that he'd get a chance to run through horses or round horses, and as you can see here in the stretch, he comes from dead last and circles the whole field on a track that day it was a very speed-favouring grass track and has been for the rest of the meet. And this was 5.5 furlongs. I think if it had been 7/8, I don't think they'd have known where he ended up in front of them. So I'm very much looking forward to today, but he has to relax. He has to settle. He's coming out of 2 sprint races. He's a very light-mouthed, very free-going individual. If Manny can just get him to switch off in behind horses, he'll have a real chance. I don't think he'll be too far back. He's got plenty of speed, but I'd rather not see him on the lead today.
All right, and let's shift to another winner you had earlier in the meet with a maiden special weight winner. And I just wanted to ask some kind of training questions with this. We're going to watch, go back to August 21st. We're going to watch Le Grand Warrior get it done. Le Grand Warrior will be the number 9 horse. Coming off a career debut effort where Le Grand Warrior ran, 9th in a field of 10.
Yeah.
Now comes back on the 21st. It was a turf event, but washed off the turf. So talk a little bit about 2 different things. A, is this a horse that benefited from the education of the first start? And B, why did you elect to stay in when it was moved off the turf?
2 very easy, well, not easy questions to answer. First of all, I'm a little bit more conservative a trainer with my 2-year-olds. If one of my wins first time out, they're normally pretty good. I don't expect them to win first time. At the same time, I did not expect this horse to finish second last on debut. He kind of missed the break. He was on a first time, and Javi just kind of rushed him into the race a little bit, and that meant he emptied out towards the end, and he was a very tired horse afterwards. I also wasn't sure that he focused very much in that first race, because the next day he was absolutely jumping and kicking and bucking around the barn, and I'm thinking to myself, well, that's not a tired 2-year-old who's just debuted. So I kind of went fishing a little bit. He's a horse with a big springy action, and I thought, well, maybe there's a chance he'll like the grass. I worked him on the grass. I thought he got hold of the grass pretty well. So I put blinkers on him as well. So a lot of factors came together, and I'm not sure any of them actually pinpointed what the dramatic improvement was, but maybe it was a combination. He'd been to the races, and he'd had a breeze over a different surface, and very often that snaps out something in their mind. They wake up. We'd applied blinkers, and I was kind of looking forward to running him on the grass and see how it happened. Then it rained, and he's by Majestic Warrior, and I was sitting there going, they absolutely love the slop. I remember when I worked for Eddie, who had a horse called Majestic Azar, who broke his maiden here and slammed a Todd first time. It was meant to be very, very good, won by 9, and he loved the wet track as well. So when it came off, there was no way we were scratching, and Jose did a great job. I said to the owner I didn't think that he wanted to be on the lead, and he was adamant. He was sitting there going, well, I really hope that at least we see him finish the race and we'll learn something about him. So he hops out the gate, puts himself on the front end, never looks back. After quarter of a mile, Charles Beringer, who owns him, sitting there going, no, no, no. And after another 3 furlongs, he's going, yes, yes, yes. So, he's not a bad horse at all.
And
he just needed to put it together.
Exactly how much of a difference. He was really tired after his second start.
After a second start. You knew he'd run 5.5 furlongs, and he's progressed a good bit for his second race.
What's in the future as far as the surface?
I wouldn't be averse to giving him another go on the grass, but his pedigree is all dirt. I just wonder whether he needed a wake-up call, and that for the first race, and then a grass breeze gave it to him.
Interesting. And Maggie, of course, when we see you in the paddock before the races, you talk a lot about that. Horses that are maybe trying the turf and looking for the confirmation, the hoof, the whatever, to move from surface to surface. That's always interesting. One of the things I also find interesting that you do, we see you walking around with the tablet, and you talk about how the horse looks today as compared to the last time you saw him. Talk a little bit about the notes you have to take today to prepare for the next time the horse races.
Yeah, well, I mean, Formulator is a great thing where you can plug your notes back in and they come back up when the horse is re-entered. So I think watching a horse, especially with the young ones, and how they progress, how much fitter are they, how much more focused do they become, it's really, really special to have for those horses that are young, but also horses coming back off of layoffs, to know what you're looking at when they do reappear after 6 months to a year. So notes are just really special. And two, like when horses develop differently, from 2 to 3, you want to know, have they progressed? Because a lot of times you do see these horses that are very precocious 2-year-olds and never take that step forward, and people are disappointed by them as 3-year-olds. Well, they were just meant to be 2-year-olds.
What's the process there? I mean, are you looking, and then after the race is over, you have to stand there and
I mean, like as they're in the paddock, I'm writing what I see from them physically, and then I go back and I log it back into Formulator after the race, and then it comes back up for me. So talk
a little bit too before we go here, because I am not at all. I look at them and they all look great to me. I am not a physicality kind of person. Yeah. But people are into that, and I appreciate that because some people, Sean Clancy, 4 times a year I'll see him and he'll have picked something out in the paddock that turns out to be a winner. But for people like me who have nothing to go by, what are maybe a couple of things to look for a horse that's maybe on their toes and ready to run a good race today?
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously you said it, a horse who's on their toes and, kind of that controlled high energy. You don't want to see them all over the place, expending too much energy, but that confident kind of demeanor, ears pricked, looks like they're ready for I don't really say looks like ready for a fight, but they look like they're ready to go out there and do their business. And, they're fit, they're well defined, they look strong overall, and just health. I mean, great coat on them is another thing that tells you that they're ready to run their A game.
And the race type differ as well is very important. The sprinters, if you've got a sprinter who might be stretching out, like the horse I'm running this afternoon, the last thing I want to see from him this afternoon is too much energy in the paddock, because he's probably going to be too keen in the race, and I need that horse to be relaxed today. And you get to see these horses the whole time, and I've walked into the paddock and run against horses at this meet who I've run against at Belmont, and I've either thought, yikes, I'm in trouble here, or that horse looks nowhere near as good as it did when I ran against it a month ago. So they do tell you. They do tell you.
Yep. That's interesting. As I say, I am not tuned into that. But I think if I watched enough, I probably would. And maybe had somebody like you looking over my shoulder, hey, here's what you look for, here's what you look for. And I should note that it sounds like on the MSG and Fox Sports broadcast, some of the features are playing to that as well.
Yeah, exactly. We tried to shoot some features to explain what exactly I'm looking for, so hopefully for helping everybody.
It's a bonus education there.
Yeah.
All right, we got to move on, but obviously appreciate the visit. Maggie Wolfendale, Tom Morley, multiple graded stakes winning trainer, Tom Morley. Appreciate the visit. Good luck with the rest of the meet. Good luck with the baby as well, and the television show also. Again, appreciate the visit.
Thank you for having us.
All right, we'll wrap things up. When we come back, Jim Bond will join us. Also a stakes-winning trainer from the past few days. Stay tuned.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Face it. Most horse racing websites are just too much clutter, too much to navigate through. Next time, log on to CapitalOTB.com. Our newly designed website is easier than ever to use, with all the information the professional horse player needs. CapitalOTB.com.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit RTN.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
I'm Steve Beck.
And I'm Seth Merrow.
Together, we're loose on the lead on Capital OTB, Sundays at 10 a.m. Why should they watch, Seth?
Sit down on Sunday, have a bagel, get some great racing conversation.
Cream cheese only, no jelly. Sundays, 10 a.m., loose on the lead, Capital OTB.
Hi, I'm Acacia Courtney. I'm a senior at Fordham University, and believe it or not, I'm a fan of horse racing. It used to be that we would come to the track to watch beautiful horses run and maybe even place a bet. But today, competition for gaming dollars has taken over all of that. Now, fan numbers are dropping. Why is that? Because new people are not being introduced to our sport. Thoroughfan is a national 501c3 nonprofit thoroughbred fan organization that wants to change all of that. Be a part of making a difference in our sport. For just $25 a year, you can be a part of a network of thoroughbred racing fans. Visit thoroughfan.com/join for more information.
Now get all the racing information you need right on your mobile device with Capital OTB's new mobile app. Wager anytime, anywhere, right from your smartphone or tablet. Watch, wager, and win right at your fingertips. The new Capital OTB mobile app.
Another 50 yards, heavily plays, here's the line, One Dreamer wins and scores a huge front-running upset under Gary Stevens. Heavily Prize was second. You have just witnessed a felony.
Welcome back. As promised before the break, happy to be joined now by trainer Jim Bond. Good morning, Jim.
Good morning, Seth. How are you?
Thanks for stopping by. Obviously, it's a short walk for you coming right up Gridley Avenue. We were laughing before the break. Some mornings we're waiting for your horses to walk in or walk out. But pretty much every morning, some Jim Bond horses come walking by. Talk a little bit about your facility on Gridley, how long you've been there and how you got plugged in there.
Been there now probably just, I think about 16 years, I believe now. It's a 40-stall barn. It's there's a colt division in the front. Most people can't see the back. The back is very European. It's got basically a nice yard. Fillies walk back there. It's got lots of storage for feed, grain, scales. You know, it's pretty state-of-the-art. We got some turnout pens for horses to kind of go out and see a little sun in the afternoon, and it's a little bit of heaven for me.
Yeah, and talk a little bit about you're here for the entire Saratoga training season, right? Spring to fall.
Right, yeah. We're one of the first ones in. We come out of Palm Meadows, Florida. We have some horses running in the winter in New York. Well, most of the turf horses are turned out, but we come in there the end of April and stay here until about when the snow starts to look like it's going to hit or when we get pushed out of here.
Yeah, and again, it's kind of part of the quaintness of Saratoga. The horses walking up the street in the morning and the guys come out and stop traffic, and it's fun to see, certainly. And it's got to be great for you to have a facility like that right next to the main track in the Oklahoma the rest of the year.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and NYRA lets us use the main track to jog across to get to Oklahoma, so the horses have kind of a nice walk and, a little bit of scenic tour, and I'm kind of lucky being up here.
There you go. Background was you started out at the Finger Lakes, right?
I did. Yeah, I was very lucky. My father had a kind of a small division, and we kind of hit here and hit there, and I got lucky enough. The Rudd Line Stable and Mrs. Payson found me there and gave me some great chances, and the rest is kind of history.
I talked with Jeff Canizzo the other day, the president of New York Thoroughbred Breeders. Get your opinion, being a guy who started out at the Finger Lakes. What are your thoughts on the Finger Lakes now with the essentially a neighbor full-blown casino opening up? I worry about them.
And my sister trains horses out there, and I have a lot of dear friends. Needless to say, Chris Englehart, Jeremiah, we all talk about it. We all cut our teeth there, needless to say, and it's sad because there's a lot of great horsemen, and we do need a filter for our industry in New York to get these horses that are just a little lesser to go out there, and they're still just it's really sad, and I'm worried for the breeding operation. I mean, I personally we have about 18 broodmares at our farm. And I'm kind of looking that things don't, work out. We're going to have to scale back in our broodmares because, we breed to run in New York, okay, at Nyrisk, but unfortunately, some of them, do wind up there.
Yeah, we'll keep our fingers crossed because, again, as you say, we need that kind of B-level track to make a full complement here in New York. We'll keep our fingers crossed that things work out well. On a happier note, let's go back to Monday. Let's pull up the Bettor talk now. The stakes race, number 7, Our Way will win. Jose Ortiz on board. Jim Bond trains, and this was a nice performance. Our Way is going to be the number 7 horse here on your replay. Talk a little bit about the win.
This is a really kind of a neat horse, and he's getting better. Interesting, Jim Riccio kept texting me before the Saratoga meet that he really wanted to ride this horse. And some riders just see things in different races, I think, and pick things up. And this horse was just getting better. And, his exact words when he got off him the other day, he said, "Jimmy, this horse," he said, "when I pushed the button, he exploded." Okay, and, and he's, so I'm kind of happy, needless to say. I don't know how far he can go, mile, maybe a mile and a 16th, but boy, I'll tell you, he's a real McCoy.
Have something planned next for him?
No, I'm kind of looking around, actually, and, we'll get back to the track and talk it over with Mr. Clifton and hopefully get to do the right thing.
Because it was a very, very, very nice performance the other day. Give us a little feel overall. You have to be happy with the numbers at the meet.
Yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, good horses run fast and slow horses run slow, unfortunately, and, I'm blessed. I mean, we have great clientele, and, both my sons work for me, Kevin and Ryan, and, we're just we're so fortunate to be at Saratoga. It is home, and anytime we win a race here, it's a little more special.
And give some credit. Talk about the team, because I went to your website yesterday, pulled up pictures of your kids and your wife, and as Maggie and Tom walked off, they said, "Where's Tina?" And you said, "Out at the farm." Talk a little bit about the family as the team.
Well, my son Kevin, he's the oldest. He's 29. Ryan's 25. They both are educated like their mother. Okay, went to 4 years of college, got their finance degree, business degrees, all this nice things. Okay, and my wife, she worked at Eastman Kodak. She was a finance advisor for years and retired a little early. And we've got a kind of a nice farm out here in Stillwater, and I'm blessed. We wanted to push them in a different direction, both boys, and I can tell you. Every time they would see a Brookledge truck or a Sally truck on the road, and they'd say, "We love the horses. We're staying with the horses." And I'm the luckiest guy in the world because we do have our debates, and I know Dad's kind of old-fashioned, but they bring a lot to the table, and they're workaholics, and I'm probably the luckiest man in the world.
Yeah, that's great. And speaking of being old-fashioned, I'll ask if you're new-fashioned. I said all meet long. I've been asking trainers this question. I'll ask you as well. Are you a sheets guy? Is that part of your training toolbox?
Yeah, and Mr. Clifton uses them quite a bit. And Mr. Clifton's very analytical. He's he was a Duke, university grad. I mean, he's a world of information. And so we sit there and kind of look at races and try to figure it out. And half the time we're right, and half the time we're wrong.
So it all evens out in the end. Let's go back. Certainly, highlight win here at Saratoga for you came back in 1996, and I just wanted to go back and get some memories because the other day, right up at the old friends at Cabin Creek, they tipped their cap to Wills Way, who was up there. We'll watch number 5 Wills Way win for Jim Bond. Again, the 1996 Travers, a nice stretch duel, running second. Louis Quatorze running third. You may remember Skip Away. Pretty good performance. And he came back the next year and won the Whitney as well, right?
He did. Yeah, 126 Beyer actually. I mean, he was. Yeah, I remember it distinctly. He was a tremendous horse. Mr. and Mrs. Clifton were here for our way's first race, and we went to visit him the other day when they were here, and he looks fantastic, needless to say. But that horse, it was interesting because this horse is saying that our way is from that same family line. And without exaggeration, for the Travers, I had to wake him up. He slept till a half hour before the Travers. We let him over, and he was just ultimate cool. And that horse just, he threw his heart out and chased it. He was a really, real warrior. And like I say, I deeply miss him because he was special.
Yeah, and again, a notable lineup behind him. Louis Quatorze, Skip Away, editor's note was in there that folks may remember as well. And again, folks can go up to old friends at Cabin Creek and visit Wills Way, still up there keeping people happy as part of the retirement plan up there. But it was a nice performance here in 1996. And again, it was in 96. The Whitney was the one where he threw the big bar.
That was 97. Yeah. So
all right. So again, Wills Way,
formal gold. I mean, it was a good race that day.
Let's talk a little bit about while we watch the end of this race. You've alluded to it already, but talk a little bit about your Song Hill Farm and how that plays into your operation.
Well, it's a little over 100 acres we have there, and it's more of a breeding type layup operation. We have Eurosizers, a few trainers from the track, send horses out there to take a break once in a while. My wife and I live on the farm there, and it just kind of complements the racing stable. Every once in a while, the horse just needs a break. It's kind of like us going to the hills and hiding for a day or two just to breathe. And it's been, really, it's kept horses in the barn. That's the bottom line. Okay, is you tend to tell a client today the horse might need a couple months off, and all of a sudden he winds up in Chad's Brown or Billy's or Todd's and which is understandable. I mean, everybody changes, but saying that, it just kind of has always given us comfort. And I have a gentleman, Marco's been with me 18 years, and he runs the farm, and without Marcos, the farm wouldn't exist. Okay, he's just, great people. I'm just surrounded with fantastic help.
And that's certainly important. We've talked about that with trainers during the meet as well, as Wills Way wins the Travers there, and I think we have an aerial shot of the farm. How'd you come up with the name Song Hill?
We had a farm in Victor, New York, from Finger Lakes. Okay, that's much smaller. Next to the gentleman that owns Paychecks, had a beautiful home right above, and I thought he was going to buy it, but he didn't. But it was a little slower scale than this here, and this was my ultimate dream, and it's kind of nice. Since that picture was taken, there's more paddocks. There's a lot of retirement horses that are in a paddock much higher than that one that we bring back, Rufino, Tomasi, a lot of horses that were good to us over the years, and we've reached out and see if people needed a home for them, and they've all come back, and so my wife and I kind of enjoy that. And
I can see where you would.
Yes. Thank you.
And there's a website as well. If folks want to know about the farm and maybe what is available, they can visit the Song Hill website.
Exactly, or hjamesbondracing.com.
Very good.
It's tied.
Jim will wrap things up now, but again, nice stakes win over the weekend, and our friend Mike Kane is standing over here. His Saratoga Smoke goes out today with the Double Onions group, and it was the end of last year. They were pretty happy in the winner's circle with the win at the end of last year. That's got to be great when you come up to Saratoga. There's some local owners, and you can get a win like that.
Well, Mike was one of the fine people that kind of sent everybody our way, okay, and it was a dream come true for all of us, okay. She was a little bit of a
That win last year was off a long layup.
Oh, yeah, she's been off a little while, and they were all very patient and, a great group of guys, and I'm hoping I can deliver today. The water's a little deeper today, but, we're going to try like heck, and hopefully it all works out.
Yeah, we'll be rooting just because we know it'll be fun in the winter.
Yeah, sure will be awesome.
Jim, we appreciate the visit. Great meet so far. Good luck on the rest of the meet and then moving downstate.
Thank you for having us. Appreciate it.
Trainer Jim Bond, again, he's got the nice barn situation right down here on Gridley Avenue. If you come up Nelson Avenue in the morning, you're sure to see the Jim Bond horses walking by. All right, we're going to take one more break, come back, and a quick goodbye. Stay tuned.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB television network.
It's where dreams are born and champions are tested. Saratoga. And the excitement of Saratoga is now at your fingertips at CapitalOTBBet.com. Wager any place, anytime on all your digital devices. Watch live racing, get past performances, bet online on our state-of-the-art wagering platform. Now for Saratoga, it's Bet 100, Get 100. Open a new Capital Bets account, bet $100, and get $100 cash back. And don't forget to download our new mobile app, CapitalOTBBet.com.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Not at the track and not near a computer? No problem. Wager with Capital OTB's touch-tone wagering system and you'll never get shut out again. Capital OTB's touch-tone wagering system is quick, simple to use, and guarantees your wagers are accurate and placed on time. For more information, visit CapitalOTB.com or call Capital OTB's customer service hotline at 800-292-BETS. Capital OTB's touch-tone wagering system. Never get shut out again.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Welcome back. Just time to wrap things up. Mentioned three pieces of news on the handicappers report earlier. I'll remind you, because if you go over to Equidaily, I have them linked right up at the top of the page. Arrogate, his buyer, the highest brisnet number ever. They go back to 1990, got a 124 for the Travers. So big number for Arrogate. That moves him up to number 6. Maybe not the number, but the performance moved him up to number 6 on the NTRA weekly top 10 poll from nowhere up to number 6. Cavorting also moved into the top 10 this week, and you can see the top 10 again if you link over on Equidaily. And I did want to note right at the top of the page, I pulled up our friend Paul Daly. I pulled up his column from the Lowell Sun as a timeline for the history of Rockingham Park, and notes that today, the last day for the Rock. It's been purchased and will be developed in another fashion. They haven't raced there in a while, but they've done simulcasting there. So always sad to see a track like that with the history that Rockingham Park had. Always sad to see him go. But again, right up at the top of Equidaily, you can link to the Paul Daly article today about the closing of Rockingham Park. All right, I mentioned it Friday and actually got some nice responses. We hope to do it. I'll mention it again through the remainder of the week. we would love to hear from you as far as the morning programming here up at Saratoga. I say it every year, but this year I thought I'd push it a little more because I think a lot of people on the front side, I get a lot of people, which I absolutely appreciate, walk up and talk about love the programming, like this interview, whatever. If you could take just a minute and just send us a viewer mail, and it doesn't have to be praise. It can be want less of this, more of this, less of this different, whatever. If we can get some feedback, I'd love to do it. I said Friday, love to get 40 responses. I don't know if that sounds like a lot, but in the world of local television, which I've been involved in for years and years, even before OTB, 40 responses is like a landslide. And we got kind of a handful the other day that got us started. So again, if you could take a couple of minutes, just fire up viewer mail at capitalotb.com. Doesn't just have to be about this program. It can be about anything here on the mornings on OTB. We would love to hear from you. As I say, comments, suggestions, like this, less of this, more of this. We'd love to hear from you. And again, the handful we got last Friday had some nice suggestions. Somebody, and I should have put the name down, but you will know who you are, and I'll try to come up with the name maybe and give this person credit tomorrow, at least their first name. But they said they like the programming. Next year they'd like to see day in the life kind of featurettes, which I thought was a pretty good idea. Trainers, backstretch workers, just a little 10-minute thing on kind of the day in the life of these people on the backstretch. I thought that was kind of fun. So there are a few interesting suggestions like that of what we might do going forward. But again, and even if you just like it the way it is, I think a lot of people take it for granted, but we appreciate that kind of feedback as well. Just keep it up. Like it the way it is. Love to hear from folks. Again, I'm shooting for 40 emails by the end of the week, so viewer mail at capitalotb.com. All right, that'll wrap things up for this Wednesday edition of Racing Across America as we start the wrap-up here at Saratoga 2016, the last 6 days. Enjoy the races this afternoon. Let's all cash a few tickets. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning for the Handicappers Report at 9 o'clock.
You've been watching Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. Thoroughfan, giving the fan a voice. Find them at thoroughfan.com. And Woodbine Racetrack. Pick, bet, and cheer on world-class horse racing north of the border.